All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, giving double honors to the apostles and elders of great millstone. Shalom to the hopefully elect. Shalom to all the brothers out here laboring in this truth with sincerity. Shalom to the few sisters that watch. Just coming back with another lesson. Saw this clip, a couple clips on Instagram. One was in the Philippines, a little kid, and one was here in America, another little kid. But the topic is the scattering. You have one that you would perceive to be a so-called Edomite, a white person, but as you see when she starts to dance, you could tell, man, it's Jake all day. Speaking of the Israelites, Jacob. And one is in the Philippines. He's a little kid with I don't know if it's a real gun or a toy gun, but hey, he got all the mannerisms of Jake, man. You would say that's a little Jake kid from Chicago, Atlanta or something, but he's in the Philippines. So first we'll grab a scripture and then we'll get into the clips. So we'll go to the book of Jeremiah chapter 12. And this is another reason why you can't be, you can't be living carnality, man. You have to be spiritual, because it's all through the spirit. It's all through the spirit, You can't just look at someone and say, oh, yeah, that's a so-called white person. That's a so-called black. You can't do that. You got to go through the spirit, man. You cannot determine what type of spirit a person has by the way they look. You definitely go off the way that they carry themselves, man. And first and foremost, if this word resonates, that's a clear indication that that's an Israelite, no matter how they look. So this is the book of Jeremiah chapter 12 and verse 9. It says, my inheritance is unto me as a speckled bird. The birds round about are against her, So, wherever we go, we're going to be hated. The Lord likened us to a speckled bird. We're all over, man. All over the world. We've been scattered all over the world throughout the four corners of the earth. And this is what people seem like they're missing. Is you got to get over the color thing, man. That's just simple. It says, let's see, come ye assemble all the beasts of the field, come to devour. So, everywhere we go, man, these other nations want to devour us. Even if you're amongst your nation, say, for instance, if you're a so-called Edomite, but you have the spirit of Jacob, you're going to be outcasted in your own neighborhoods, your own family. You're going to be outcasted because you're not this. You don't move like they move. If you're a so-called Elam, but you had a spirit of Jacob, you're going to stand out within that region or neighborhood or whatever. They're going to know something is different about you. So, everything is spiritual, man. So let's get into these clips and you'll clearly see what's going on here. So let's see.
God, it's dangerous in Manila. Let's go. Shit. Oh shit. My God, it's dangerous in Manila. Let's go. Shit. Oh shit. My God, it's dangerous in Manila. Let's go.
See, the little boy, he got this Jake flavor, man. Even his mannerism, first and foremost. First, okay, he throwing up signs. And then you see the way he moving, he's singing, and when he get into that head movement, you really, you think that's Jake, man. Jake all day. So we're scattered, especially in the Philippines. Jake being all up and through the Philippines. So that's just one clip, that's just one example. It says Manila, Philippines. So we're everywhere, man. So let's get this other one. Lord willing, I don't get no strike or nothing, copyright due to this music that they playing. But yeah, you see this little girl, and then she gonna get into this dance, man, and you gonna know she a Jake.
Let's go. Llama, red pajama, Reese's story, Reese's mama keeps baby her. Mama llama, go downstairs. Llama, red pajama, feels alone without his mama. Baby llama wants a drink. Mama's at the kitchen sink. Llama, red pajama. Let's go. Llama, red pajama, Reese's story, Reese's mama keeps baby her. Mama llama, go downstairs. Llama, red pajama, feels alone without his mama. Baby llama wants a drink. Mama's at the kitchen sink. Llama, red pajama. Let's go.
And then you see the mother, she can't really keep up, man. So, it's all through your father, She got the spirit of a Jake, which comes by way of her father. As you see, her mother has absolutely no rhythm. I mean, she got a little bit, but not compared to the little girl, So, like I say, she got that from her father, man. So more than likely, her father is a Jake. So we see that, we'll continue on in the scriptures, man. We'll go to the book of Deuteronomy, showing Deuteronomy 28:64, man, showing that we've been scattered all throughout the four corners of the earth, man. Due to idol worshiping, disobedience, the Lord had to punish us, man. So we went into captivity all over the world, scattered, ousted out of your homeland, so to speak, by the Lord, man. And taken over by these heathen. This is why you see the so-called white girl and the so-called Philippine boy, with the spirit that we have. So this is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64. It says, "And the Lord Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other." So to just think, you still got these silly Christians out here saying that, you say you can go to heaven just because you black, which is ignorant, man. Nobody thinks that, man. That's not what we teach, showing you that this is a spiritual thing that we're in. It says, "From one end of the earth unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone." Who knows what the little Filipino boy, what God he serves, little G, and more than likely the little girl is serving Caesar Borgia, man, white Jesus. So, these are part of the curses, man. But we must understand that, we've been scattered amongst all nations, man. Even, during the time we were ruling, man, we spread our seed wherever we go. One thing about a so-called Israelite man, he like to get it in, no matter where he at, or no matter who we around, the women of the other nations are, hey, they like, they're like, even to this day, man, exotical, tempting, when you see them, you like, man, I wouldn't mind having to, getting with that, man, because they, that's just how we roll, for the most part. This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68. It says, "And the Lord Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships." This is part of that scattering, going into Egypt, meaning bondage, slavery, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. And we know that word buy, Quana goes into being redeemed. So it's not actually, no man shall buy you, actually purchase you. That is going into redeem. And I think it's in the book of Nehemiah, can't really remember. You know, we could look it up, but you know, for the sake of this lesson, we'll stick to the topic. So, you know, we'll go to the book of book of Baruch, chapter 2. You know, clearly showing that we've been scattered. You know, but we're gonna come to remember ourselves. You know, you see the little especially that little girl, man. You know, she's definitely gonna stand out in her family. Cause they gonna every time a family function come on, they gonna want her to do that dance, man. They gonna want her to dance. You know, she's different. She's definitely gonna be different. She's gonna be labeled different. You know, she might even grow up to like Jake Men. You know, who knows? You know, all right, but this is the book of Baruch, chapter 2, and verse 29. It says, if ye will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number among the nations, where I will scatter them, showing that we've been scattered. It says, for I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people, speaking of the Israelites, but in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves, you know. And that's what's happening now. You know, we're coming into remembrance of who we are, you know. And first and foremost, through this word being preached, you know. That's it, man. You know, that's the fishing, you know, this word going out. Verse 31, it says, and shall know that I am the Lord their power, for I will give them an heart and ears to hear. You know, once we heard this word, man, it was like a flashbang went off, and it wasn't no turning back ever since. You know, it's like a, you know, that fire that, you know, all throughout, man, Jake has been searching. You know, that's the first step, man. You're searching. History, you know, you're deep into history, you know, of your people, you know, trying to just searching for yourself, man. And then once you hear this word and it resonates, that's it. It just clicks, man. Verse 32, it says, and they shall praise me in the land of their captivity and think upon my name, showing you how important the name is, Yahweh. You know, and his son is named Yahweh Shai. You know, his only begotten son, you know, the one that they ignorantly call Jesus Christ. Verse 33, it says, and return from their stiff neck and from their wicked deeds, for they shall remember the way of their fathers, which sinned before the Lord. And I will bring them again into the land which I promised with an oath unto their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they shall be lords of it. And I will increase them, and they shall not be diminished. So, you know, this is what we're patiently waiting on. You know, we're waiting on the Lord to come back and gather us and take us back home, man. Where, you know, eventually all these other nations will be subject to us. Verse 35, it says, and I will make an everlasting covenant with them to be their power. So what is Genesis talking about? It says, and they shall be my people, and I will no more drive my people of Israel out of the land that I have given them. So it won't be no more scattering, man, once we come back and gain that salvation. So, you know, this was a quick lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai. Just saw those clips and, you know, spirit hit me to bring this out. So, you know, Lord willing, it was edifying. We want to constantly give our praises, honor, glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Shalom.